Alright, time for manga recommendations too. I've been reading a bunch of mangas you people may or may not know about and might wanna try them. So without further ado, let's start the video. So first up on our list we have Death Note. I mean, it's kinda like the manga of the decade, manga of the year, manga of the century, whatever you call it. Everybody knows about Death Note, right? It was the gateway anime or manga for a lot of you guys. Even people who don't necessarily watch anime, they kinda might have seen Death Note. The concept is just intriguing. So basically Death Note is about Light who ends up with a Death Note that kinda belongs to a Shinigami named Ryuk who just wants some fun, and his quest for adventure leads him to Light. I mean, if I'm putting it correctly, that is. And it just so happens that Light is, and it's just pure coincidence that Light ends up with the Death Note, and with it he decides to cleanse the world from all the evils, or I must add, from whatever he considers evil. Even I was a big fan of Death Note, of the anime, but I did not really read the manga until recently. But when I did, I kind of found a few things. The manga is a fucking lot different. The anime tried to make everything seem like a grandiose journey of Light ascending to godhood. But the manga is kind of a parody in a way. Like it does follow the same plot, but a lot of the times it's just pure. It's a dark mix of comedy along with a shogi-like infinite chess that Light and L play, right? Because when you think about it, a lot of the times when Light does something weird or wacky, it feels quite different. The story feels more like a secondary aspect to the plot itself when you think about it, especially within the manga. Somehow it gives quite a different feel to it. Like the way Light acts, you can't just sympathize with him like you end up sympathizing with him in the anime, especially towards the end. I think the end was quite different. See, when I talk about the anime of Death Note, they had a different kind of music going on within it, right? It was all church-based orchestras. You don't have that in the manga, so the manga automatically feels a lot different. Especially the imagery. Within the manga, we don't see all that biblical imagery being thrown out here and there. What we do have is, well, Light, and Light being Light. And there's also Matsuda. I think he was one constant within the story. Even when the story supposedly comes to an ending, the end in the manga and the anime, they were quite different. So if you enjoyed Death Note's anime, and you wanna have a same but a different experience with the same franchise, I think you should definitely check out the manga. Alright, so next we have Tente no Tente, or Tenti no Tenti. It's another thriller story. It's a short, crisp read of just 27 chapters. It's about this female detective who is after the murder of her only sister, and the detective that helped the murder in the first place. The story had good artwork, so that's that. I personally did not know if I should recommend this one, cause how bland this manga felt to me, but still, I had to recommend something, so how about this one? Alright, next up we are going to talk about Inou Asano, the writer of Pun Pun, Solanin, A Girl on a Show, and multiple such other dark bleak stories. So, recently I came across a collection of one-shots that were written by him. Asano one-shots, we call them, and I felt like giving these one-shots a chance and putting them in this video, cause I personally liked a lot of them. There were quite a few of them that always question the very basic fundamentals of story writing, which is to be expected from Asano's works, to be honest. My personal favorite one within this collection of one-shot was Tempest, because just how weird and out of the box thinking it had behind it. There were some other good ones as well, but yeah. Also quick, I would like to also talk about Cigarette Anthology. It's another collection of one shots but by different authors. So like if you guys remember that Star Wars anime that came out last year, one that had a plethora of studios which together worked on different episodes, this one is kinda like that. Cigarette Anthology, well, it follows the theme of cigarettes, and it's a collection of. So Cigarette Anthology is a collection of stories, one-shot stories, written by different famous authors, all focused and revolving around the theme of cigarettes and their impact on society and the addiction that people feel about it. I don't know. I just read these randomly and did not think much of them, but wanted to talk about them. I did not feel like making separate videos for these, so I just put them out there. So this next one that I'm going to talk about, it's a bit personal, I won't lie. The thing is, when I first read this one, I was still in high school, and ironically, I kind of went through the same exact things that happened to the protagonist of the story, which is kind of weird. But every time I look back at this webtoon, I feel kind of weird. Maybe because I get reminded of my past and it kind of brings back memories I don't wish were there. So A Girl in a Classroom is about this guy who sits next to this girl in this college. Well, it's a college, I guess. So the basic premise of the story is guy likes girl doesn't really like guy asks girl out, they go on a date. Guy turns out to be a total Jeffrey, gets dumped. 2-3 months later, the guy becomes a completely different person and wins everyone over. Me saying anymore would kinda just spoil the plot, even though I kinda already did. I personally recommend this to anybody who is going through a certain phase in life and wants some direction about what they should and should not do while looking for a life partner, that is. Alright, time for some Junji Ito. We all know that dark feeling, that fear, that dread we feel whenever we are at a place that we don't know much about. A dark, shady corner. Could be anywhere. In real life, in virtual reality. You always feel like something is there. A presence, a kind of a spirit, an evil demon of sorts. Right. The idea is just so popular. It's part of our daily lives, in a sense. Especially in this day and age. Well, what does Junji Ito do? He simply takes the most mundane, most innocent things you can find in our daily lives and turn them into absolute menaces. And one such example is spirals. And I'm pretty sure those of you who know about this one or have at least heard of it or have in some way, shape or form experienced Junji Ito's work, they all know what I'm going to talk about. So Uzumaki is about Kairi and her boyfriend Shuichi Saito. Whether the two of them live in this distant town away from the main world grid or the power line. And out of nowhere one day, the town gets infested with this obsession. An obsession of spirals. Somehow everybody in the town gets obsessed with weird ass spirals, with weird ass doodles. And the interesting part of all this is, nobody knows what the fuck is going on. People start killing each other left and right over spirals. Weird ass demons, evil spirits, whatever you call them, start appearing out of nowhere. The dead start popping out of their graves. Lighthouses become laser shooting giant cannonballs of sorts. It's just a lot of weird shit happening out of nowhere at the wrong time. There's also a bunch of psychological horror at play here as well. On that note, I don't want anybody to suffer the kind of deaths these people go through. I mean, it's just too fucked up. Alright, finally we are going to talk about Metamorphosis. And I somehow don't feel like saying shit about it. So you guys should check it out on your own. I won't spoil shit. I won't tell you anything about it. Just go read Metamorphosis. That's all I gotta say. Oh, and I plan on making a elaborate video about Metamorphosis sometime. We'll see about that. Like, subscribe and the good stuff. As always, peace.